So what's your special power?
Well, I can turn people's hair gray.
What good is that?
Well, you know, it's good for people who are concerned about their appearance, like movie stars and stuff.
That's it?
Yeah.
Can't they just dye it?
Well, yeah, but then they'd have to keep dyeing it because their roots would show all the time, you know?
Huh. I guess.
Well, what's your superpower?
I can imitate Beavis and Butthead.
Okay. Can you do anything else?
Engage.
I can make people fart on command.
Okay, I'm going over here. Hello and welcome to Random Movie Time. Today we are discussing X-Men: The Last Stand. This is the third installment in the original X-Men trilogy. It's directed by Ratner, starring Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Halle, Framke, Janssen, and Paquin, Kelsey, James Marsden, Rebecca Romijn, and she's not in the movie much, but I've got to mention her, Shoei Agdashlu. So before I continue and tell you more about the film, I just want to give you a heads up. If you've not seen any of the original trilogy of X-Men, there are going to be spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, and if you want to see it and you haven't yet, I would suggest you go watch it before you watch this video. So the story in this one is that the government has found a cure for the mutants, and there is a big, of course, clash between Magneto and Xavier and his crew, because Magneto thinks that making them mutants makes them all unique and powerful, and it's good. And some mutants feel they want to be normal again, like Rogue, who can't touch anyone. And in the meantime, Jean Grey comes back, but something's happened to her, and this is the start of her becoming the Dark Phoenix, and she sides with Magneto in this war between the X-Men and Magneto's crew. So, what do you think of this one, Tommy?
I really like this one. I'm not a huge superhero fan, but, you know, I think the X-Men movies have always been some of the better superhero movies, and a lot of that has to do with the actors. Really well cast, you know, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman. I think the casting was pretty spot on. I think the story is very relatable. They've always said that X-Men is sort of a metaphor for puberty, or maybe, you know, just kids feeling that they don't fit in. And yeah, I think a lot of especially teenagers could really relate to these movies. I think they're really well done and very clever. They have a lot of humor in them too. These were one of the few superhero movies that I actually went out and bought. I went out and bought this trilogy on DVD actually, and I've seen this movie quite a few times, and I think it's one of the better ones, even though it wasn't directed by the original director, who I believe was Bryan Singer. I think this one is maybe the second best of all of the X-Men movies, so I think it's really good. What did you think, Shannon?
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big superhero movie fan either, but I mean, these this original trilogy of the X-Men was very well done. I thought all three of them were excellent. And when I was younger, I watched the X-Men cartoon, and I loved it. My favorite character was Storm because she was so dramatic.
Nature, respond to my command! A ward of rain to quench the flame!
Logan! Anyway, so I mean, I was really glad to see that they handled the franchise. I didn't read the comic books, I've got to admit, but the comic books were quite close to the cartoon, from what I understand. So I was very pleased to see that they kept the spirit of the cartoon with these movies. I was very happy with that. I thought it was perfectly cast. I think that, the first movie, when I saw Halle Berry as Storm, I was kind of, I don't know, she's not perfect, but I think that's because I had an idea in my head of what Storm would look like. But I thought, this movie, wow, she did a bang up job. It was perfect. They all did a really good job. Romijn was really good, and I mean, I had to mention Shara Ashdag. Pardon me, I can never say her name. Shara Agdashlu, because she is one of my favorite actors, and she plays a very, very, very little bitty role in this. She's one of the doctors in the research center, and she doesn't last very long, but even that little bit, she did an amazing job. I mean, she was in many, many great things. She was in The Expanse, for one, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And of course, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. Come on, the ultimate. If actors had romances, I guess they do. Well, that was a stupid thing to say, but you know what I mean? Like how football players have, in the acting world, it's Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
Totally.
They're just meant to be. Great chemistry there. Everybody. What can I say? Everybody did a great job. And Kelsey Grammer.
Yes.
Who played Beast, was spot on.
Yeah.
Just perfect. I can't imagine a better actor to play that role.
Yeah.
He was so great.
Yeah.
So and of course the directing was amazing. The action sequences were perfect. It was just so well put together. The only little nitpicky thing I have is at the very beginning when they did some de-aging on Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, and it looked awful. But this is 2006, so I guess I can forgive it for that for a little. And that's just quite early on for that sort of technology too, so that was pretty cool. They were playing around with that.
But it's interesting, the rest of the special effects, by and large, were better than today's special effects, because it seems like they're really rushing these superhero movies these days. But in this one, most of the effects were pretty convincing, so I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I will. Now that you opened that can, I compared to now superhero movies nowadays, this X-Men trilogy to me is far better because they do put the care and the thought into it, and it feels like these superhero movies nowadays are just bam bam bam, kind of like bring it off the production line and stick it in, and the fight scenes and things like that, the action scenes are just too ridiculous, too over the top and overproduced. And to me, these X-Men films, this original trilogy, was very well crafted compared to what they do nowadays with superhero films. the other thing I was going to mention was James Marsden, who plays Cyclops, and he was also in Westworld. He played another lovesick puppy. It feels like that's his lot in life. James Marsden, always playing the lovesick puppy. Poor guy. And I never liked Cyclops very much. I always thought he was a whiny little bitch, if I could say that. Oh, I guess I'm not supposed to say that. The table fell out from under me and gave me a scolding. But other than, I mean, that's just the character. And if there had to be a Cyclops, then... If there had to be a Cyclops, and if he had to be there and all whiny, then James Marsden did it justice. Very good job. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, the actor did an excellent job as Cyclops. In fact, he for me, he took some of the edge off of how annoying Cyclops is. So there you have it, roundabout compliment, backhanded compliment. Good job, James Marsden. Yeah. Anything else to add?
Not really. I think that about sums it up.
Okay, well, how many Professor X's do you give this film?
I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5. 4.5 Professor X's. Just a half star off for, as you said, some of the questionable de-aging CGI in the movie. And, sometimes, you can't really help it in these superhero movies, but, some of the clunky, pithy dialogue, But all in all, very good movie. What about you, Shannon? How many Professor X's out of 5?
Definitely 4.5 for me, too. I feel the same way. I think that it's almost a perfect film. It kept me engaged the whole way. And it was just that little de-aging thing that they had that knocked it down for me a bit. I thought that was a bit not so good. But, yeah, 4.5. Woohoo!
Well, there's a buzzer. Guess we better get back to class. We'll see you next time on Random Movie Time.